and you're locked into another episode of the Enleo Podcast. My name is Josh, and we are glad to be back with you this week. Every week, we're making that intersection between faith and animation, delivering redundant analogies, everything from Disney to Naruto, and everything in between. I'm here once again this week, and Rebecca is back. So glad, because now you don't have to hear my ramblings and my fumblings for another week. Rebecca was kind of burdened with schoolwork last week, but she's managed it better, right, Rebecca?
That's right. I am back. So very happy to be back. Yeah, this semester, the next 6 weeks, I guess, is going to be really full is what it seems like, because we've got 3 different textbooks that I'm reading, and I'm pretty sure we're going to read like the whole book in 6 weeks. And these are like thick textbooks on theory of counseling. So, this week we have been studying psychoanalytic theories and Adlerian theory. So that's super fun. They're pretty similar, but anyway, yeah. So deep in it, but I'm glad to be back. I think at least I know now that I can how to manage my time a little better. But that first week, last week, that was a shock, shall we say? So I'm managing better though now, so that's good.
Well, as you know, today is Good Friday, so wishing all of you a Good Friday and a happy Easter. It always comes around this time of year where we have candy, we have Easter baskets, but most of all, we take the time to reflect on the resurrection, or for the crucifixion and resurrection of Christ. I'm trying to think of when like the whole like bunny situation got involved. I'm sure it was like a kind of like a pagan ritual. Rebecca, do you know anything like historically how that was brought about? Why we associate a rabbit with Easter?
I don't know for sure. If I had to guess, it probably had to do with some sort of pagan something. I don't know though. For sure. I know now anyway, we associate rabbits with procreation and new life. And of course, Jesus offers us new life, which is why we accept bunnies and eggs as well in our Christian practice of Easter. But yeah, I'm pretty sure originally they were a part of pagan rituals or beliefs. But I mean, we need to be mindful of those things, like we talk about, every time Easter or Christmas comes up. But I don't think it's that big of a deal unless it's a stumbling block for somebody else.
Right. And by no means are we saying that if you get an Easter basket or you get a, hide Easter eggs or whatnot, that, you're not a true believer. Because, those games are fun. They shouldn't, though, take the importance over the true meaning, if you're a believer, that is, of this holiday.
Right. Yeah. And, when Josh, you mentioned a second ago that it was Good Friday, and I just wanted to take a second to say, why is it called Good Friday? And that's because Good Friday is when Jesus was crucified. That doesn't sound like a good thing. Why is that a good thing? Well, Friday is only good because on Sunday he arose again. So Jesus was crucified on Friday. So we observe Friday as a time of somber reflection on what he did for us, how he suffered, and how he paid that atonement for our sins. And then we kind of keep that going through Saturday. But then we have Sunday morning. It is a joyful celebration where we remember that not only did Jesus suffer and die for our sins, but he rose again, and he is alive right now in heaven with God at the right hand of his throne. And he sent his Spirit, the Holy Spirit, to live inside each of us to be our counselor, to be our guide, to be, his voice inside of us. He is God with us. And that is the Easter message in a little nutshell, or eggshell, if you will. So yeah, so there we go. That's why it's Good Friday. That's why we celebrate Easter.
Yeah, it's all about that reflection of what he did for us and where he is now, how he dwells within us, and taking time to reflect and have reverence for that. Because this was truly a week that changed the whole world.
Exactly. Yeah, last week on Sunday was Palm Sunday, and that led us up all up until today was Passion Week.
Mhm.
And Passion Week is when it was leading up to it. We had the Passover on Thursday evening, so yesterday night, and then we had the Garden of Gethsemane where Jesus went. He was praying, sweating blood, and then he was betrayed with a kiss by Judas. And it was an eventful week for him. As our pastor said last Sunday, he was like, "You think you had a bad week? Jesus had a bad week."
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think it was, I've always heard it that when somebody says, when they're asked to do something, it's like, oh, it's such a, I mean, I don't really bother with that. It's an inconvenience. And somebody in the family would always say, yeah, I know it's an inconvenience. You know what else is a big inconvenience? When Jesus had to go up on the cross, and sure, that was very inconvenient for him. So in years past on the podcast, we've done biblical stories, and we're going to continue on through that trend when we do an Easter episode. So our first ever Easter episode that we did was just a King of Dreams, the year after we did Prince of Egypt. So we would encourage you to go listen to those episodes. We really enjoyed doing them. This year, this year though, we're doing a bit of a different kind of thing. We're not doing a movie. We're actually doing a mini series, and the mini series we'll be talking about is Young David. For those of you who don't know, there is a funding campaign going on now, as of the time of this recording, to fund a movie called The David Movie. It's about the life of David, and they're really close to their goal. So really excited to see, this happen. And we really haven't had a full-length animated Bible movie in quite some time, from the caliber of what I've seen in the trailers and the concept art. But what they did, this is in partnership with Angel Studios through the Angel app. Some of you may be familiar with that because they also was a distribution for the series The Chosen. But they did a miniseries called Young David, and these are episodes that are about 5-6 minutes, but they tell a lot in those short episodes. And we really enjoyed there's 5 total. I think that's all they're going to come out with. I don't know, they'll be adding more in the future, but it's pretty biblically accurate from what we can tell, as far as the setting, how David is described. Again, we don't know much about young David from these scriptures. We only know more about young adult David and when he became King David, when we read about him in the book of Samuel. But we also are given creative licenses, which is what Slingshot Studios, who was the studio behind this, did. And they gave us a glimpse of, okay, who was David as a shepherd boy? What kind of adventures may he have had through this? And in short, that is what the miniseries Young David is about. We dive into the life of David, a humble shepherd boy with a talent for poetry and playing the lyre, which is like an early version of the
like an
mandolin.
early guitar.
Yeah, guitar.
It's like it's a harp, basically.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
That you can carry.
But Rebecca, what were your initial thoughts on this? Because we watched it first, and then we watched it again to get a better understanding. You made notes.
Yeah, so first impressions are like really well done. This is a really well done little
Yeah,
series.
this is on like the same caliber. The animation, at least, is
Hmm.
on the same caliber like what you see from Disney animation,
Yeah, I
and it's
would
actually a
say.
good storyline.
Yep. Yeah, I really appreciated that. It's a good storyline, great animation, great voice actors. Yeah, the kid who plays David was is has done several anime actually.
Yeah, so Brandon,
I should say guy, not kid.
yeah,
He's not a kid.
so let me see here on IMDb. It says Brandon Ingman did this. So yeah, he did. He was the main guy in Weathering with You. He was one of the quirky, like, best friend side characters in the anime movie Belle, and he's done a couple other like live action movies. And he as a voice actor, he's a voice actor, dancer, singer, multi talented. He did a wonderful job voicing young David.
Actually, forget hide and seek. I think it's time for some cheering. If you would come to cheer me on, then I would definitely win.
It's working.
We can do this. We're almost there. Do you need some water, Hina?
How about some candy?
Yeah, he did really, really good. It was because there are a couple of episodes where there's some songs that are shown in.
Yeah, like the last two.
Yeah, the last two where there's some songs, and they were excellent. One was original. I mean, they were both kind of original. One was Psalm 23 put to more modern music, and then another song was truly original.
Yeah, it was.
They were both really good.
Rhythm of the Grace. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they were excellent. We really enjoyed the little series. It was so short, and I was so sad that there wasn't.
I know.
More.
I wanted the longest. I want more. I want more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is also distributed by Minio, which is, for those of you who are not familiar, it's a family friendly, faith based streaming service for like little kids. So I think they have like Veggie Tales on there and other faith based programming for children. Kind of like a couple other things that have come out recently. I know that Angel Studios is primarily free, and so you can watch the first 3 episodes of Young David completely free. I think, though, there is a monthly fee if you want to watch like the other 2. I will say, at least in my opinion, it was well worth it to pay that extra cost to see the last 2 episodes. I think they were the best out of the whole series.
They were really good. I was a little confused though about the 4th episode because they had the full 4th episode as the song.
Yeah, most of it.
So we saw pretty much all of it for free.
Yeah, because okay, so they had made a music video of the 4th episode, so you kind of
the song from the song 23.
Yeah, song 23.
Yeah.
Which
is the episode.
Right.
Essentially.
Which according to many sources, David is credited with writing not all of the songs, but many of them, including song 23. And that is in the episode called Poetry, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. I would actually like to go episode by episode and kind of, give our general thoughts on it. And these were, again, like 5-6 minutes. But I think we were able to pull quite a bit out of, out of those short episodes.
Yeah, honestly, when we first watched it, I was like, I don't know what we can pull out of this.
Yeah. And when they do this next year, originally I was going to have us do the Rugrats special, the Passover special. Becca didn't seem too enthusiastic about that. So maybe next year. But I'm glad that we did Young David because I was also kind of a little bit iffy too. I'm like, well, we're going to be able to pull a lot of things out of this, or maybe it's just really short.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it because there's some good stuff in here, I think.
So episode 1 is called Warrior. And Becca, can you give us a general kind of like outline about that?
Yeah, so this episode it really is showing, first of all, showing David. He's like, starts off with him. He's built this army of the Philistines, and he's like playing around, acting like the Philistine. He's like, okay, guys, the sheep, because he's a shepherd. And he's like, okay, guys, I need you to flank around the right and come in from behind and attack the enemy. And but they're these like stone statues, but he goes over and he's like knocking them over, and it's fun. But then a lion shows up and he has to protect the flock. So that's what episode 1 is mostly about. Which was nice to see how he protected the flock. One of the things that the Bible says about David is that before he went and he defeated Goliath, he defeated the lion and the bear. So we didn't see the bear at all in any of these little mini episodes, but we get to see the lion, which I thought was interesting. So that's what episode 1 is primarily about.
Yeah, when we open up with young David, as Rebecca, you had said, he's kind of like imagining this battle with the Philistines, and he's watching over the flock, and he's going on about his fake battle.
I'm so sorry for being so loud.
It's okay.
I'm like moving stuff around. I'm trying to get my phone to like.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah. For those of you who can't see, Beck has a pop socket on the on the back of their phone, and so she's trying to balance that, I guess, to look at the notes and whatnot.
Yes. Yeah, because I like wanted to still be able to look at the camera and everything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. See, this is you get these behind the scene kind of things when you watch the video episode. But yeah, so David is going through this make-believe battle with the Philistines, and the lion comes up, and he's going to get the best girl. And we're like, oh, David has a girlfriend? No, the best girl is a sheep, and that is Tally.
I wonder where Tally could be. Could she be behind this stone? No. Maybe she's behind this bush.
One of the cutest sheep I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, Tally is amazing. She's a little lamb. She's so tiny. Love Tally. Tally's great. So she's got this little like floof on top of her head.
Oh yeah,
and it reminds me of a doodle.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But essentially, that is what the episode is all about. And I love the action sequence that goes on it. Is very short, but even shows like David's like slingshot skills like early on. It's like,
that was really cool.
That just wasn't from Goliath. He had that in the bag.
Well, and that's what else was he going to do, right?
Yeah.
He's like out there in the wild
right.
with.
He doesn't have the weapon aside from this like little staff thing.
So the slingshot is the weapon.
I know. I mean, other than that.
Oh, other than that, yeah. That thing's no joke. I don't know if you've ever heard or seen a simulation of what the slingshot that he would have been using at the time. It looked correctly, so it's like this long bit of leather, essentially.
Right.
So what they would do, they didn't really show it too much in the show, but you would put the rock kind of in the middle, and then you would sling it around. You would and then let go of one of the sides and shoot the rock out of the slingshot. And you could I heard someone say at one time, like, when they did simulations, you can get up to 50 miles an hour or something, or it was really fast, however fast it was. So that's no joke. That slingshot thing, it was like, I guess, the equivalent of a gun today in the ancient world.
Yeah, and, you get hit with that, you're going down just like Goliath did.
Yeah, no wonder. No wonder. Of course, David hit Goliath like right between the eyes.
Yeah.
So it was a really like soft spot that
Yeah.
scrambled his brain.
Yeah. And in case the kids are watching, we won't tell you what happened next. But for you adults and for those of you who have read the Bible, he did something else after that, which is not kid friendly.
There's so much of the Bible that is not kid friendly.
Yeah.
Or that is not that it's not kid friendly, but just that it's not rated G.
Yeah.
The Bible, people make this claim all the time, but it's true. In today's rating world, like the Bible's rated R. It's gory.
Oh, absolutely.
Very gory.
Well, and I've heard it said, "Oh, the Bible is made for little ears." I'm like, yes, most, yes, but yeah, most of the stories, yes, are kid friendly. But I mean, the gruesome battles, the Song of Solomon, again, those handled tastefully. Not something that I would say that's rated G.
Yeah. So episode 1, warrior, we get to see young David as a warrior, protecting the flock.
Right. So definitely see his courageous spirit and his dedication to his flock. So let's move on to episode 2, which is called King.
Yes, episode 2.
Episode, yeah.
It's called King. Oh, this was the episode where there was a sheep that was trapped in like the root of a tree, and David goes to free her, and then one of the kings, apparently she was a king's sheep, and the shepherd of the king's sheep came along, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's very gruff and smelly, apparently. But yeah, so that's what this episode is about.
So in the episode Cain, it really paints an allegory between what we see young David purchasing the trapped sheep to what Christ did for us. And Rebecca, you want to go into a bit more detail about that?
The purchasing of the sheep?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he saw that the big gruff guy, the king's shepherd, he was mistreating the sheep, and David was a tender-hearted person, and he saw the sheep being mistreated. He was like, "That's not right." He's like, "Okay, I'll purchase her. Like, hey, I want to buy her." And the guy says, "All right, my price is that liar over there." And David was upset. He was like, "Hey, no, I can go get," because it was really precious to him. We learned in a later episode that it was his father's lyre that he got from him. And so he loved it and he didn't want to give it up, but he decided that this little lost sheep was worth it. And he gave up the sheep, or gave up the lyre for the sheep. And it was just like, what a beautiful exchange of giving up something precious. God gave up his son for us in Jesus, and to pay for us to be in right relationship with him again. And I just thought it was really cool. I don't know if that's what they were like going for with with this particular episode, but that's what I saw in it. And it was such a beautiful reminder.
Yeah, the whole exchange, the transaction that goes beyond between David and King Saul Shepherd, is just so beautiful. What the King Shepherd does, though, to the liar is not so nice. He just basically just destroys
smashes it.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, it's like, oh, just like that, like sticking it to young David. So, oh, was it worth it? To give, this possession for that lousy sheep?
And David says, yes, it is still worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Because the King Shepherd said, well, why do you want to buy her? Like she's useless. And that's how we think of ourselves, and what the enemy tells us is that, we're worthless, but God turns us into worthy. He sees us as worthy. That's why he sent his son to die on the cross.
And it's more about his love for us than it is about our worthiness.
Correct.
Because we're not, ultimately. Mm-hmm. Unlike someone who we were watching a video recently where apparently there's a pastor somewhere who was talking about, what if God worships us?
Oh, yes.
And we were like, what?
Can you say what if with me? What if God worships me? Can you say that with me? What if God worships me? Now, you don't have to say it if you feel uncomfortable, because it can feel a little uncomfortable, right? Especially when we don't really understand and live into who God has called us to be and what God is to us and has called us to be to God. Not about universal truth, but about a truth that has helped me center myself in the divine love of God.
So it's from a guy called Pastor Jernell, and it was just outrageous. And according to Mike Wainer's video, which is a really good teacher, his whole channel on YouTube is to help people think biblically. But this Pastor Jernell guy pastors a church called the Common Good Church. Well, kind of an oxymoron there. What he's teaching, I don't think, is for the common good. But yeah, he's like, and I was thinking, what if God worships me? I'm like,
that's definitely not.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting video. It's really good. Highly recommend taking a look at it if you're interested in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like one of the worship songs that we had listened to a while back. I don't know what it was called. I forget the group, but it was one of the lines went something like, we'll blow you away. We're gonna blow God. And it's no. God's gonna blow you away.
That was a weird song. Yeah, we were. It was like, it wasn't Worship Mob, but it was like a Worship Mob type group.
Worship Mob would not do that. They may be very charismatic, but they ain't gonna go there.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. But getting back to David.
Getting back to David. Sorry, a little bit of tangent there.
Yeah, small tangent. So at the beginning, something struck me really interesting at the beginning of this episode. Mm-hmm. David sees, so he's up there, he's like tuning his lyre, mm-hmm. and he looks down and sees that Tally, the little lamb, has gotten herself stuck in his messenger bag, and her head is stuck. And so he jumps down and he laughs and he says, "Oh, Tally, how many times do I have to rescue you?" That's right, as many times as it takes. And I just thought, oh my gosh, wow, what a beautiful picture of, first of all, it reminded me of how when one of the disciples, I'm pretty sure it was a disciple, who asked Jesus, how many times should I forgive my brother? And Jesus says 70 times 7, which in at the time of that Jesus was saying that, it was understood that using those numbers, that was an infinite amount of time, and as many times as it takes, basically. And then it also made me think about how God forgives us and he rescues us as many times as it takes, because he loves us and he cares for us. And so it was just really beautiful. I liked that David said that, and I loved how he said that, because I can just imagine that's how God says that about us. Just like, "Oh, Rebecca, how many times do I need to rescue you?" That's right, as many times as it takes. And that feels really good. And that's what God does for us.
And I think we, take it for granted, like how, I don't know how many times God has intervened in my life to rescue me. Probably more times than I realize. And he keeps doing it repeatedly again and again. When we think we've strayed so far, his hand reaches out farther than we could ever imagine.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into the next episode, which is episode 3, called Shepherd. And this is the one where I think it's pronounced Gibor.
Yes.
Is the sheep that is a little special. He's special.
Well, he tries to, well, in episode 2, he tries to eat the lyre.
Yes. Yeah, episode 2, he tries to eat the lyre. And in episode 3, he goes running off into the middle of nowhere and gets himself lost in the middle of a storm. And David goes out to look for him. And his brother, I think it was Elias, who came back, and he was like, "Hey man, that sheep's not worth going after." And David said, "Hey, no, my job is and the brother says, "You're going to get hurt. Like, don't go." And David says, "No, it's my job to look after the sheep, and it's God's job to look after me."
Yes, and it paints that allegory once again to where God goes to rescue us, and
Right.
God goes makes me think of reckless love. No mountain you won't climb up, to rescue me, and the overwhelming love of God. Just because His love is overwhelming, that's why we can't even begin to comprehend why He would even, think of us, worthy to rescue.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of people take issue
Yeah,
with that song,
reckless
Reckless
love.
Love, which I can understand. God's love is not reckless. The point, though, I think that the song is trying to make is that to us, it does seem crazy.
Correct.
It does seem reckless.
Yeah, we're not calling God like reckless,
No.
but in our human comprehension
Right.
of what we understand, if anybody else were to do that, then we would see it as reckless.
Yeah.
And this also paints the picture of leaving the 99 to go find the one.
Absolutely. Yeah. So David goes after Gibor, to risk his safety, and go after him. And he says something, David says something really interesting when he goes to the cave where he thinks Gibor is. And he says, "Why wouldn't he go to where it's safe?" And then he kind of laughed and he said, "Of course, Gibor is always getting into trouble. He's going to be in the least safe place possible." And of course, David literally finds him in the middle of a raging river on a rock when this huge wave is coming in to smash him to pieces.
Yeah.
And David jumps in and holds him. But I mean, it made me think about how many times do we find ourselves there? How many times do we find ourselves where we've put ourselves in the situation?
We have.
Where we're in the middle of on a rock in with a raging river and a storm going on, and we're just like, huh. This isn't good.
Yeah, and most times before that moment, we felt that tug of that Holy Spirit saying, "Hey, you shouldn't do that."
Right.
And yet again, we go on our own understanding. So, I'm going to do it, and just like, all right, got to do this again.
Yeah, here we go, saving the troublesome little sheep.
If Jesus was a redneck, it would be a hold my beer moment.
Oh gosh,
got to save another ninny.
Oh man. But he does it because he loves us.
Right.
And David does it because he loves his sheep. And, even at the very end of the episode, we've got Gibor was perfectly fine. He showed up back at the house, and David was really tired as he limped back in. And then his brother Elias is, he comes out and he's like, "It's shearing time." And he makes the shearing noises, and the sheep are like, "Heck no." Then they all run away. And David, so tired, was like, "Okay, I guess I gotta go get you now." And he just has such a positive attitude
he does.
about going out. And I think that's really neat.
It is. And I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but Molly decided to take a nap in here. So apologies if you hear her snoring.
She is quite loud, isn't she?
The last 2 episodes in this series are kind of like music videos. Wouldn't you agree, Rebecca?
Oh, yeah. Definitely number 4. Psalm 23. I mean, the entire episode is
Psalm 23. And for those of you who may not know what Psalm 23 is about, it's about God's character, what he does for us, like guiding us through troubled times and the goodness of God. Rebecca, do you want to expound on Psalm 23 a bit?
I mean, I can. Yeah, it's the one that's, I mean, you all, it's kind of like Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 13, love is patient, love is kind, love is, all those things. Psalm 23 is another one of those like wildly popular ones. But Psalm 23 is, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, for he makes me lie in green pastures. He, makes me lie beside still waters, and he restores my soul. So basically he's with you in the dark places.
Yes.
And he offers rest and relaxation and restoration to us. And he talks about, he makes a table before my enemies, and he anoints my head with oil.
Right.
All of those things. It's a beautiful psalm.
It is.
But it's a very much like the shepherd, protection, God looking after us.
Right. And that episode, I'm not sure we told the title. It's called Poet.
Yes. Poet.
And before the whole psalm, David is tuning the lyre and trying to come up with, lyrics. And it's like, I just don't feel inspired until he sees like this hawk or this eagle fly over and, runs toward it. And he falls off this cliff and he goes through these caverns, and this is where he's uneasy about everything. And so that's when he starts to sing Psalm 23. Now, he didn't compose that until much later. But with the artistic
creative license.
Yeah, creative license it fits.
Well, and we don't really know when he composed any of the Psalms. We can guess.
Right.
I've got a chronological Bible that places the Psalms in chronological order along with the rest of the text. But yeah, so we don't really know. We can guess, but
yeah. Well, that brings us to the last episode, which is called Worshipper, which I think is the best episode out of all of them.
I think so too. Yes, I totally agree.
So we meet David's. Was it biblical that David had a sister?
I don't think it ever mentioned her. It only ever mentioned the sons of Jesse. Okay. But that's. I mean, they mention the male lineage,
right?
More so.
Okay. So, and her name was, I can't remember. What was her name?
Zeruiah.
Zeruiah. So he sees Zeruiah up on the roof of the house, and David comes up and is like, "Oh, what are you doing?" She's like, "I'm upset." So what are you upset about? And we hear the mom, "Hey, it's time for bed." It's like, "Oh, okay, I get it."
She is the cutest little girl. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I love the character designs.
Yeah,
all these characters are amazing.
Yeah, you know who she reminds me of the character design wise is Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah,
totally. That's who I thought you were gonna say. She really does. She looks like, is it Vanellope?
Vanellope von Schweetz. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she does. She looks like her. Yeah. So and David responds to her, and he's like, "You know what? When I get upset, this is where I come to go to the roof to spend some time with God."
And she starts asking questions. Well, how do you spend time? It's like, well, I just talked to him. It's like, really? What does he sound like? And she yells at us, "What do you sound like?" And Mr. Ezekiel, the neighbor, says, "Some people are trying to sleep. Quiet down." So that's not very nice.
So Zeruiah asks what God sounds like. And David says that he's more so feels it inside when God speaks. And then that's when he starts singing the song. And I really like how he portrayed how you hear God. Some people hear an audible voice, not everyone. That's pretty rare. But yeah, most of the time it's this, well, like the Bible calls it a still small voice, that you listen for. And it was a really, really good song. where David was just talking about like, this is praise, this is what it's like. And it was really good.
Yeah, so we definitely, like, if for nothing else, I would pay the $20 just to see that episode.
It was
The
good.
5 minutes is worth it alone. So we would definitely recommend this series. Even if you just do the free Angel app, it's not a subscription, but just download it. You could watch the whole miniseries on a lunch break. It's that quick, but you get so much out of it. I felt it actually enriched my life in a way. Just seeing like the creative lessons that were taken, the character of David at that young age, seeing Psalm 23 like played out that way. I got a lot out of it, so I highly recommend it and highly enjoy it. Rebecca, would you say the same?
I would definitely say the same thing. Yeah, it was a really great little series.
Yeah.
I look
and
forward.
this is coming from 30-something adults. I can only imagine if you had children, they will definitely love this.
I think so too. Yeah, it looked like you said Angel Studios has a partnership, right, with the social aspect of the platform, right?
Yes, so for those of you who have went on the app, I don't know this is true for all the series that they've done, but there's like shorts that I guess parents have videotaped of their kids and they give their thoughts and opinions about the series. So that's usually kind of like underneath the episode log.
Yeah. And so we watched one of them, and the kid had watched it like multiple times. He really enjoyed it. So yeah, it's really cool. You can interact that way, but I really look forward to the full length feature film. If
Yes.
that's what because that's what they're going for, right? Is a full length.
They are at the
And
time.
not young David, but like
No, the whole story, David. So
okay.
it'll encompass this. But at the time of this recording, they are, I think it's like
95% complete.
Yeah, 95% funded. So they are getting really close, and I would really like to see this be a reality.
Me too. I mean, if this is all we get, that's fantastic. But
Yeah.
I'm really hoping for the full film. It's such a quality production.
Yes.
With quality individuals working on it, and yeah, it's excellent. This is what the whole industry needs to look like.
Yes.
Honestly.
And there are so many other projects out there that I've heard of one other one called Gabriel and the Guardians.
Oh.
It is the first like Christian anime that is being made, and it looks good. Yeah. Just search on YouTube, Gabriel and the Guardians trailer. I think it is still like a Kickstarter in that type of phase, but just from what they've done so far, looks really good. But Rebecca, you're right. This is what we need. We need stuff like this. We need to get away from like the hokey type of like Christian movies that they put out, which they have their place. But things like Young David, the potential full David movie coming out, Gabriel and the Guardians, stuff like that. That is what I see contemporary Christian entertainment being.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. There's some other things too. There was something we stumbled across on, I think it was Amazon, that was like owls, and it was the little kids going to school, and the owls were teaching them.
So I don't think you remember what it is, but it's called allegories.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the name of it. That was really cute. It was a cute little story. It was kind of like an updated Veggie Tale kind of a thing, only not with vegetables.
Right.
That was good. And then I think there's a series or two on oh my gosh, what is it? It's the platform that Brett Cooper's a part of. What's the platform?
Binky.
Yeah, Bentkey. Yeah, which is a subsection of Daily Wire.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Bentkey is the children's things TV shows and movies and
Yeah.
stuff. And they've got a show on there that they're doing that, oh my gosh, with the animator who worked on Danny Phantom. I forget his name. I know you know
Butch Hartman.
Yeah, so he is a Christian and he is an excellent animator. And so he's working on a show.
He also did a
Very Odd Parents.
Yeah, and it is called Fairly Odd Parents, actually.
Thank you. Okay,
you're
I was
right.
like,
yeah.
Josh was trying to tell me earlier today
I'm sorry,
that it was Very Odd Parents instead of Fairly Odd Parents. I was like, oh, I don't know. I thought for my whole life I thought it was Fairly Odd.
No, you're right. I was wrong. It's fine.
I feel better now.
Wands and wings, floaty crowny thing.
Yeah, so he's working on some stuff, and he's been talking about in some interviews wanting to see that really good quality, clean Christian entertainment, basically for kids and for adults. We deserve that too. So anyway, yeah. So there's a lot of really great things that are happening in the industry right now, and I think Young David is just, one of those excellent things that are happening in the industry. So I hope that this trend continues and goes up from here.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for our Easter episode. We want to know your thoughts, and we want to encourage you to take this Good Friday, if you are the believer, to engage in communion. Attend that.
Friends.
Huh?
Good fellowship and friends.
Yeah, the good fellowship. The good fellowship and friends communion. Yeah. And also take this time to reflect on what Christ did for us on the cross, his resurrection, how he is alive today. He is risen. He is risen indeed. And until next time, keep those halos shining and stay holy, my friends.